Okay, so today I'm going to be changing the TRX4 Sport gearing to a 12-tooth pinion, 45-tooth spur, and I ordered the new clutch pad kit because apparently when you take the other pinion gear out, you certainly can't reuse those. So that's what we're going to do. It should be super quick and easy, but I'll kind of walk you through how I do it. Okay, so the first things we're going to do, take my little electric screwdriver. We're going to remove, this is my LCG battery tray. We're going to remove those screws. This flips up. We're going to pull the motor, which if you've never done that, it's just 3 screws across the top. And then we'll go from there. We're going to unplug the motor wires. Then we're going to set the motor aside. Going to remove the 2 screws holding the ESC in. And I'm going to just snip this zip tie off so that I can pull all this off to the side. While you're in here, I just suggest you clean it up a little bit. I'm just using a paintbrush, a bristle brush. And then we're going to remove this screw and this screw. Then we'll flip it over. We're going to remove this screw. Now at this point, the only thing holding your transfer case and transmission in are your drive shafts. So we're going to remove both drive shafts. To remove the drive shaft, all you have to do is unscrew this little, I guess they call it a grub screw. I'll show it to you when I take it out. This is what that grub screw looks like that holds your drive shaft on. I do recommend that once we pull the drive shafts, you screw this back into its location because these are easy to lose. And I have a black carpet in my bedroom. Now that those grub screws are removed, you can just pull these off on both sides. And there we go. Obviously, I'll clean this up again, and then we'll go from there. Now that's your slipper clutch right there. What we're going to do is pull this nut, pull this plate, and you'll see there's those spacers in there. Whoops, spacers in there. We'll want to keep those in the same order with the same amount. So when we pull it apart, we'll pay attention. This plate holds this clutch pad there. And you can see there's a clutch pad on the other side. So we're going to set up the new spur gear the same way. And you can just leave this plate on here because we're going to reuse that too. Part number 8053 from Traxxas is what I'm using. That's the 45 tooth. And part number 8254 is the slipper clutch rebuild kit. And it does come with new plates and washers and everything, but I'm going to save those because this truck really doesn't have much use on it. So it's nice to have a backup. So our clutch pads. So now all we're going to do is peel the adhesive off of the back of the clutch pad and stick that on our new spare. And we'll do the same to the other side. So now that's ready to go back on. So we're going to do just the opposite of what happened when we took it apart. Slide this on. We're going to do, oops, our plate. And I was wrong, there's 4 black washers. They were just stuck together. I thought I had read that there were 5 total, so I was a little nervous. Put those back on. This silver one back on, same way we took it off. And we'll start this. And this goes down pretty snug. So same idea, we're gonna hold this, center it, snug that down. Obviously don't reef on it, but make sure you don't have any play here. Make sure everything's working as intended. This is ready to go back in. Now, I find it easiest to attach the outputs first and then slide everything together. Just seems to go to, I mean, do it any way you want, but to me, that's just the easiest way, because it'll slide on there. It's simple. Now we're just reattaching those 3 screws, the 2 on the top and the 1 on the bottom that we removed to remove it. Always start these with your hand before you use a tool, and you don't need to reef them down. I mean, it's all plastic, so take your time and don't go, you'll feel it, it'll snug right up. 3 screws are back in. Oops, lost a bit there. So now what we're gonna do is change the pinion gear on the motor, which I'm going to that 12 tooth. We're gonna put a little bit of grease on the gears, and then we'll put that back together. So one of the things I really like about the traxxas is, depending on what pinion gear you're running with the spur, there's actually a chart in the manual that will show you what motor mount, whether it's A through H. So I will put a picture of that up at this point in the video. And like I said, I'm going to a 12 tooth and a 45 tooth. So for my application, D is the appropriate motor mount. So this will pretty much set your mesh. You don't have to worry about anything. So we're almost done. Now, once you get your pinion gear back on, don't tighten it up until you set the motor up in here, because now we can make sure that it's lined up with our spur gear. So we'll just want to make those straight and even. Motor plate goes back on, and same thing, hand tighten these, and you want to tighten them down evenly. So don't just reef on this one and then do this one and then do this one. Just kind of zip these down a little bit until they're all snug. Now that we have the motor mounted back in, sounds smooth. Then we just put our speed control back in, screwed down the LCG battery tray, rerouted our wires, plugged the motor in, and this thing is ready to test. Now that it's all put back together, turn the ESC on. Sounds pretty good.